How's it going, everybody? In today's tutorial, we're going to be going over inventory attributes and attribute sets. Now, these are an important part of the system, and it's what actually lets you to change what is here. So defect, testing time, rev, those options are all settable, creatable, and you can change whether they're required or whether they'll affect the SKU. And we're going to go over how to do that. In the top right here, we select our gear. We move down to System Settings. And as long as your user has full access to this admin screen, you'll be able to select inventory attributes. Once inventory attributes is open, you'll see in the top left we have three tabs. We have attributes, we have attribute sets, and we have a resale template builder. We're going to be paying attention to the first two tabs today. Starting with the first tab of attributes, you'll notice that we have several different attributes: CPU type, CPU speed. Clicking this one, on the right, you'll see we have many different options that will fit that attribute: 1.25 gigahertz, 1.5 gigahertz, 1.66 gigahertz. These are all different things that have either been manually entered or created on the resale side when an item has been received into the inventory. So from this page, we can hit new and add an option for CPU speed. So maybe we wanted to add something crazy like 6.58 space GHZ. We can hit that, we hit OK, and now that is an option for that particular attribute. In the future, if you type in 6 point, it'll recommend that because it's one that has been added. Here we have one that's 0 for some reason. You can select that, you can edit it, and maybe it was actually supposed to be 4.20 is what you wanted it to be. So we hit OK, and then that has now been changed. So very powerful thing there. You can help clean up your inventory. Also, if you have something here like 1.66 space gigahertz and 1.66 no space gigahertz, we can select merge, and we're going to pick which of the values we want to merge and which one we want to keep the primary value. So we're going to choose the one with the space in it, and we're going to select merge. And now right there, you'll see that we've merged them together, and all of the inventory that was in either of them has now become one same thing. So this can be used to kind of prune and straighten up your data. Now, we can create an entirely new attribute up here. So if I made an attribute name of, test attribute, then this is going to be something that you can add into your system. So maybe capacity wasn't an option, you could have that added in. Maybe battery wear wasn't an option, you can add that in through this page. But here I'm just going to make a simple test one. And you can set a default set, which is what it's going to always be attached to. So you can set it to LCD monitor, maybe it's like screen scratch if you wanted to add that as an attribute, or you can choose it to not be selected. Type is going to be either integer, which is whole numbers like 1, 5, 7. Decimal is going to be decimal numbers like 1.8, 3.7, that sort of thing. But both of those with no letters. Text is going to be just that. You can have numbers, you can have words, anything you want. Spaces, and date is going to be a simple date, and date is going to be a date time if you select that in there. Boolean is a little bit more advanced. It's going to be like if, then, and, or kind of statements. Most situations you wouldn't want to use that, but for this and most other attributes, you're going to put it in as text. So there we have that, and we're going to hit OK. Search test at. There we are. This is the one that I just made at the top here, and you'll see on the right that there's nothing in it. So here you could hit new and make a value of 123, hit OK. New, make a value of 321, hit OK. No problem. There they are. So you can manage that all through that. And you could, of course, select maybe this bottom one. I don't want that one. I want the one I just made, and we can delete that. It'll remind you, and you can hit OK. Now moving over to attribute sets, here are things that we have kind of stitched together to make an item. So an attribute set of battery, attribute set of fans, attribute set of LCD monitor. If we look at something here like laptops, there's many attributes because there's lots of information: memory, hard drive size, CPU type, CPU speed, all things that are important. And you'll see these checkboxes. They're SKU affecting, editable, and required. SKU affecting means that if there are two different options in the same field, it's going to make them two different things. So you have two laptops that are identical in every way other than hard drive size. The one with a 160 gigabyte hard drive is going to be one SKU, and the one with the 250 gigabyte hard drive is going to be a separate SKU. So that's important. If there's something that doesn't really matter, like light scratches or something that you wouldn't want to make SKU affecting, you can uncheck that box. but under most situations, you would want an average thing to be skew affecting. Now, editable makes it whether you have to change things from this screen or you're allowed to add things in from the receive inventory screen. If it is checked as editable, if let's say, for example, hard drive size here, hard drive size is not editable. So let's say I run into the first 3 terabyte laptop hard drive I've ever seen. If I wanted to type in 3 TB and hit enter, if it's not in the system before, it's not going to let me do that. I'm going to have to pick from a drop down. I'm going to have to pick from something that I've seen before. But if I check editable, then it will allow me to put in, 3.5 terabyte or 5 terabyte. Whatever I run into, I'll be able to add. But it does make it so that users can make mistakes and your data might get a little bit messy, where you just saw that we had to merge those two different CPU speeds together, even though they were the same thing. So it's up to you whether you want them to be editable or not. It kind of depends from one option to another. And then required is pretty obvious. If the checkbox is checked, you need that in order to be able to create the item. You won't be able to save a laptop if it doesn't have a hard drive size set, whether it's 160 gigabytes or no hard drive. That might be an option. So that is required. Now here you can change, maybe I don't want color to be editable anymore. Maybe I want defect to be required. Maybe I want screen size to be required. Afterwards, you can simply hit Save Attribute Set, and then that is saved. Now, you can also make entire new attribute sets. If you hit New Set, you could name the attribute set, cool new test set, hit OK, and that's going to be an attribute set from here that you're going to be able to add things to. So by default, it's just packaging, and you can move over and say, you know what, I want color in there, I want CPU type in there, I want form factor in there, and then in the future, if you decided, oh, you know what, uh, there's really no color that I ever need to collect, you can remove that. So you can use this to change exactly what data collection you want, and this can even be dynamically shifted from month to month, whether you want some things collected for some items or another. So attribute sets are very powerful, and it's important that you kind of make them and keep the inventory straightened out in that way.